Hello, and welcome. My name is Rich, and this is a Let's Play of Dime Comics Universe Online, or to give it its shorter name, DCUO. I checked the stream that I recorded on Monday, and found that it was pretty bad. I apologise for it. I have since fixed that issue. I'd somehow managed to move the game capture in OBS up and to the left, and I don't know how I did that. I certainly didn't notice until after the stream was over entirely. But everything should be aligned properly now. And as a result, I'm going to be redoing the stream more or less. So I'll be recreating the character, talking about character creation, playing the tutorial again, because I put these up on YouTube after I'm done, sooner or later, and I can't put what I recorded up on Monday up on my channel, so doing it again, which means, unfortunately, I need to delete Quantum Issues. Thankfully, I hadn't earned all that much money, and I hadn't unlocked anything I particularly wanted. And you can't transfer money between characters anyway, as far as I'm aware. Certainly not on a free account. So, goodbye, Quantum Issues. And hello, character creation.
My greatest triumph was at hand. The final campaign in my long war against Superman. While his powers were drained from constant battle, sending him into space to recharge from the Earth's yellow sun, I struck. But my obsession had blinded me to the real threat, to Earth's true enemy.
On your own, son!
Cyborg, concentrate fire on Luthor while I call down some artillery.
Deathstroke, time for you to join the party.
Come on! We've got lots of murdering to do.
Something?
Greetings, sister.
nobody kills the bat but me!
Call him! Bring him to me!
Yes.
Madman! Adam! You don't deserve to live! Diana. Beaten by a mere man. No. You've lost everything. No. I beat you. Lex Luthor!
Brainiac had returned. For years, he'd been stealing the powers of Earth's protectors, but we were too busy fighting amongst ourselves to see the danger. With you three dead, Brainiac quickly eliminated the remaining heroes. The lucky ones died fighting. Finally, I alone survived. A rat in the walls of the Brainiac construct. I have traveled through time to warn you. This is my past, but your future. And it means the end of humanity, so together, we must change it.
What have you done, Luthor?
Given you a fighting chance.
He's lying. It's some kind of trap. Why should we trust you?
Because if you don't, Earth is doomed. I've stolen Brainiac's exobites and released them into Earth's atmosphere. They hold the powers stolen from the heroes and villains of my time, and will bestow them on anyone they contact. The exobites will create a new breed of superhuman to fight Brainiac's invasion. You must teach them to use their new abilities, for they must be on the front line in the coming battle, or my grim future will become your own. I only hope I am not too late, for I will not be here to see this new future. My work is not yet done. I must leave this Earth to you. Claim the exobites and take destiny into your own hands.
Targets identified. Select gender and body type.
Hello and welcome. Yes, redoing the stream from Monday because I hadn't realised how bad the issue with the screen being offset made the quality of the stream, and so hopefully doing it again this time with everything aligned properly, it will be a better experience. Also, I'm going to waffle less. I do have some talking points, things that I want to mention as I go, but I shall be less scattered, more focused this time, and I'll get through it a bit more quickly, I think. Now, character creation. Unfortunately, there are only 9 body types available per gender, which is a bit disappointing. Other superhero MMOs and other other superhero MMOs have better character customization at creation. Other MMOs in general tend to vary. Some have a huge variety of, sliders you can move to adjust your character. So the body types in this, not great. Costume options, pretty good, generally speaking. So for male, there is athletic, short, tall, and short, medium, and tall. Not a huge difference between height in these guys. I mean, short and tall are probably about a head difference, which is not inconsiderable. Unfortunately, I know what they were going for with Spry, but it just looks kind of freaky. It's just on the edge of the. It's in the Uncanny Valley. It's supposed to be like kind of teenagery, childy, because DC has a lot of characters like Robin, who are basically child superheroes or teen superheroes. Don't know why you need a spry tall, which is as big as the athletic medium, but with a gigantic head. And large, it's just a very large boy. That's just an enormous beefcake. But I'm not playing a male character, I'm going to be playing a female character, because in my personal opinion, there aren't enough kick-ass female characters in the media that I consume. And so when I have the opportunity to make one, to add one, I do so. So we've got athletic. Well, the game calls this athletic. This is really more of a supermodel build with pronounced boobs and very little ass. I suppose we know who the person who created these models. I guess we know what their preference is. Female spry, only marginally better than the male one, really. And definitely with these guys, or women rather.
Select exobyte download type. Create a custom configuration or imprint using data from an Earth hero or villain.
So
select a hero or villain morality.
I want to show you a thing. Bollocks to it. I'll just come back and adjust it later. So this says large for a body type, but to me this just says athletic, or the appearance says athletic to me. I'm going to go with medium.
Select exobyte download type. Create a custom configuration or imprint using data from an Earth hero or villain.
So there's a huge variety.
A hero or villain morality.
There's a huge variety of appearances that you can use as a basis for your character if you're struggling to come up with an idea, or you want to, for example, you want to create a Martian, like Martian Manhunter, but you don't want to just be Martian Manhunter, which fair enough. Or you want to create a Green Lantern character, or a Sinestro Corps character. So there's a huge range of inspirations that you can use for your character. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use
select a hero or villain morality.
My own design. I prefer to play as a hero. Hey, welcome Ravenforce. I'm glad to see that the screen display is working properly. Yes, I only realised after I had finished the stream on Monday what the issue was. I managed to fix it. and after watching back the recording, I decided that this it did not look good enough. So I apologize for the difficulty and kind of the unpleasantness of watching. So that's why I'm redoing it now, so that it's a better experience, and so that when I upload this recording to YouTube, it's actually watchable. So yes, I prefer to play good in morality when I have the option, but I do realize that only playing hero means that I'm cutting off about half the game, probably. So I will come back and create a villain character. Villains are driven by personal gain and will often do less than heroic deeds to get what they want. I will come back and create a villain once I've gotten to max level with the hero I create. And then I'll play through those stories and talk about them, and talk about the characters that come up. But yes, we're starting with a hero. Heroes are driven to do what's best for the world and are often Earth's first and sometimes last line of defense.
Select a personality to determine social behavior.
So, personality doesn't have a huge effect on gameplay. Apparently, it affects emotes. Only some emotes. Okay. It doesn't have any effect at all on combat or character progression. So I don't know quite how this reads as flirty, and you don't get very much time to see what the pose looks like because they revert to powerful. But there is also comical and primal, which I think probably affects how your character moves when they're not using their movement power. But yes, we're just going to stick with
Select a mentor as a guideline for data application.
powerful pose. And then, so magic, meta, and tech affects to a degree the stories that you'll get, the missions that you'll get. But you will be able to, for example, the first mission that you have as a hero with Wonder Woman as your mentor, that is being a magic character. So magic heroes are mentored by Wonder Woman. Prepare yourself to join the battle of the gods in Metropolis. Meta heroes are mentored by Superman. Protect Metropolis from the likes of Lex Luthor and other dangerous foes. And tech heroes are mentored by Batman. Be ready to protect the people of Gotham from the Dark Knight's rogues gallery. So, the first mission, if you're a magic hero, is to fight against Felix Faust, and you find and free Zatanna from a trap that Faust had laid for her, and then help her against Faust in the first fight that you boss fight. So every story arc is a series of missions and then ended by a boss fight. Sometimes there are intermediary boss fights. I think. And so picking magic means that you don't initially get to do the mission if you pick Superman, where you fight General Grodd, or if you were to pick Batman, the first mission is to fight Scarecrow and a bunch of Scarecrow's gang members. But this is not to say that you can't ever do that content. You can come back later, close to max level or at max level, and do some. If you can do the inside areas, so like the dungeon, the instanced zones, and you can fly around to the locations outside in the outside maps that have the zones for the missions of that arc, and pick up side missions. And there is a point to doing this because, as you'll see later when I get there, there are a number of things to pick up or to find. So I'm going to be picking Superman because the character I'm creating thematically probably makes more sense that she'd draw her powers directly from a biological basis. So a meta-hero is not just a hero who has powers because they're born that way. So a magic hero derives their powers from either knowing magic or using a magical device, like an enchanted sword or suit of armor, or they have been possessed by a demon sometimes, or basically they draw their powers in some way from the supernatural. Technology-based heroes can be like Batman, but can also be like Iron Man. So their powers could be just a suit of high-tech armor. Meta superheroes aren't just heroes whose powers are natural. So in the case of Superman, his powers are derived from the fact that he's a Kryptonian. They're also heroes who are aliens and therefore gain powers, or are mutants. So if X-Men existed in DC, they would count as meta heroes or meta super parahumans. And you also have meta heroes whose powers are derived from a science accident, so like the Flash. So I'm picking...
Select power group from available exobyte data to determine combat role.
I'm picking meta because I think that the character I'm creating, their powers are derived directly from their biology. Now, with character creation, you have powers and weapons, and we'll get to weapons after we've picked a power. But powers give you a selection of abilities that you use by pressing number keys on your keyboard. So you'll have a hotbar with a selection of powers in it. We'll eventually get 30 or so powers, maybe slightly fewer, and you'll have a selection of 6 slots on your hotbar, so you can choose which power you want, what loadout you want. All of these power sets can be used in a damage roll, and they all have a secondary role. In this case, nature has healer, sorcery also has healer, but mental has controller, and ice and fire, in fact, have tank. And at level 10, you get to you unlock a secondary role, so you can switch to being a tank or being a controller or a support, a controller. Also worth noting that nature, mental, and gadgets, all 3 of these power sets have access to stealth powers at level 15. In gadgets, it's like a cloaking device. In mental, it's you affect the minds of the people around you to basically blank yourself from their perception, so you become invisible to the people observing you. And in nature, you unlock a variety of forms. So if you're familiar with druids in any RPG, like in World of Warcraft or D&D, you have a variety of animal forms that you can unlock. So at level 15, you unlock, I don't remember. I think at level 15, but at some point in nature, you unlock a wolf form which has sneak. So you're able to sneak and use stealth in the nature power set as well. So that's a healing set, a control set, and another control set. The power set that you choose will also affect the color of the animations in the weapon that you choose. So if you choose fire and you as a power set, and then you choose bows or any kind of gun, well, any choice of weapon that you make, it will affect the animation. So when you swing a sword or fire a gun, you'll have a sort of orangey red effect on that, and if you choose ice, you'll have a sort of blue-white effect. If you choose light, which in a hero's case is actually Green Lantern light power, it would be green. So you'd have a green flare on a gun, or a green like swish left behind a sword or axe, or in the case of Quantum, which is the one that I want to choose, it would be white-blue, and it may make it a little bit difficult to determine at a glance whether a character is ice or quantum, I suppose. I'm not quite sure what Celestial makes it look like, because you've got kind of a yellowy glow and a purple glow, which is a bit weird. Rage is another of the light, so it's a Red Lantern power, a character with Rage as their power set, thematically or in canon, in the universe's world, has a Red Lantern ring, and you can play as a Red Lantern, either villain or hero. If you pick Light as a villain, you will play as a Yellow Lantern rather than a green one. But as I said, I'm playing Quantum because I want to be a controller this time, because the previous game I played, it was Champions Online, and while that has a selection of powers that on the surface
Select movement mode.
appear to be control abilities, control is not a viable archetype in Champions Online, and as a result I wanted to play that archetype in the other currently officially available superhero MMO. There is a third, City of Heroes, but that's not available legally. So there are a number of fan-run servers for City of Heroes that you can access, and they haven't been taken down despite the fact that they technically breach copyright. I think largely because they're fan-run and they're not run for a profit. So there's nobody running a City of Heroes server and running it as a subscription service. You can play them for free. Flight and Skimming are, in appearance and function, for getting around, basically the same. Acrobatics has a cool feel. Super Speed is very different, because in Super Speed you can run up vertical surfaces and even run upside down on ceilings, basically, or the underside of bridges if you're on the outside world. If you pause for a second or two, you will fall from the surface back to the nearest ground and the nearest vertical surface underneath you. Luckily, in this game there is no falling damage, so that's not a problem. Acrobatics, you can kind of spider climb up buildings, and when you get to level 9, you gain the ability to grapnel up vertical surfaces very quickly. And you also gain the ability to glide when you double jump, which allows you to move in a similar manner to if you were flying, but with less maneuverability. Skimming, as I've said, is functionally as movement power almost identical to flight. However, and I'll show you later when we get into the game, flight, skimming, acrobatics, and super speed all have a secondary set of powers and unlocks related to them, and you have in each one for attack powers related to the movement power. So in flight, you get to be able to create a whirlwind or create bursts of compressed air when you take off or land. In super speed, you gain abilities similar to what you might see from the Flash in creating like whirlwinds by spinning his arms around, or flurries of blows because he's punching super fast. I don't tend to pick acrobatics as a movement power because I prefer the convenience of flight. So I don't remember offhand what attacks you gain from acrobatics, and I don't remember what you get from skimming either, because even though it's almost the same as flight, I rarely pick it, and in general I don't pick the attack powers from movement sets because I'm perfectly happy to keep with the attacks from the power set. So
Select weapon specialties from available data.
this is the other half of combat in DCUO. So you pick a weapon. So you've got hand blast, one-handed, which isn't just an axe. You start out with an axe. This is the weapon that you start out with equipped. But as you go, you unlock more appearances for your weapon. So you can have a sword or a mace or a hammer or probably a scythe, maybe. I don't remember all of them because there are quite a lot. Or a staff. Or dual-wielding weapons, which are always paired, so you can't have a sword and an axe, or a sword and a hammer, or a mace, or any combination. I don't think there are any sets that have them not paired. So if you've got a dual-wield weapon cosmetic, it will always be a pair of weapons that are identical, as far as I've ever seen. Or two-handed martial arts. So even if you pick something like dual pistols, you will always have access to melee and ranged attacks. Using melee attacks always use the right mouse button, and ranged attacks always use the left mouse button, unless you go into the options and switch them if you really feel like it. So even if you've got a bow equipped, you will have melee attacks available. And you can use either light or heavy button presses, which probably makes more sense on a controller rather than a mouse, to have either light or heavy attacks, and you can combo those together, and I'll show you later when we get into the actual game, but you can unlock combos with skill points. I'm going to be picking shield because I like the feel of the combos available in shield, and also I like that shield allows you, more than any of the other weapon sets that I've got a lot of experience using, you can stun lock enemies, which is great because stun locking enemies is fun. Some of them, the way that the combos feel and chain together, and like if you start a combo, you lock your character into the sequence of movements that complete the combo. And for example, in Hand Blast, there is a bit of a gap. Like, it's not long, but if you're in combat and you're in the zone, you do notice, or I notice, a lag between when a combo ends and your ability to begin a new one. It's probably less than a second, but it's noticeable, and I don't like it. I don't like the feel of it. So there are some weapons that I don't tend to pick because I don't like the feel of them. But shield is one of the ones I do, and shield is the one that I'm going to pick here.
Displaying exabyte download summary. Appearance options now available. Modify any category as desired. Accept download when ready.
So, one thing that I very much like about character creation in DCUO is that from this page you can pick any of the fields that you've already chosen, like the personality, or the origin, or the power set, or the weapon set, and go to that selection, alter your choice, and then it will take you directly back to this list of all of your choices, so that there's no like going back through pages and then coming back through them again as you would need to do in City of Heroes or in Champions Online. It's going back through several pages, and then as you go forwards again, you have to retake the same choices that you made, because it doesn't Champions Online doesn't remember the choices that you made before. Yes, Spry does look quite cursed. It's in the Uncanny Valley, and I don't like it. But even worse than this appearance, I just want to show you, because I had to suffer it, and so now you shall as well. In the skin option, there's a whole variety of choices, but one of them is youthful, which here, no thank you. Because youthful on an ordinary head would make the eyes wider apart and larger, to elicit the youthful appearance. But on a head that's already got larger eyes and a wider head, it's cursed. It's awful. So I'm going with large medium, which looks like nothing so much as oh geez, what's her name? She's in The Mandalorian. An actress. Not Ronda Rousey. That's an MMA fighter and wrestler. The Mandalorian. Gina Carano. There we go. This body type looks like Gina Carano to me, which, as I said previously, is not large by any means. If you look at a pro female bodybuilder who bulks up with protein supplements, that's a large body type. This is just athletic with heavy muscle. This is not by any stretch of my imagination a large body type. But anyway, so if I were to choose the youthful skin for this, she looks younger. She could be a teenager who works out a lot, maybe. But there's also wise, which is just their polite way of saying old and wrinkly, or cheerful, which the smile looks a bit carven in, to my mind, or angry. There's also tattooed. Unfortunately, you cannot change the colour of the tattoos on this skin, but on Barbarian, you can change the colour of the red markings, and as well as the skin tone. And there's a number of animalistic body types, including reptile, which unfortunately does not have a tail, which is a shame, unlike the leopard or the fox, both of which do have tails and ears. Unfortunately, if you're a male and you pick lion, it doesn't give you a mane, which I found very disappointing. There's bulked and extremely toned. Intensely toned is overall better than bulked. Just find it funny that these options are under skin. Cheerful skin. Yeah, that is a bit weird, but I guess that they didn't really have anywhere else to put it. I mean, because your character's face is pretty much fixed, I don't think there's any animation in the face. They wouldn't have needed a field to change the appearance of the face, because appearances are so limited in this in terms of the physical models, because there's only 9 body types, and if you want to change the face you have to pick human 1, human 2, which is black, or human 3, which is Asian. You can, after you pick a skin like this, then change the colour of the skin in a setting. So glowing is quite nice. That's quite Dr. Manhattan, and it's even got the colour of Dr. Manhattan. Lava, Doesn't glow very much, which is unfortunate, but you can change the colour of the rock with skin tone, and oddly in lava you can change the colour of the magma in between the cracks with makeup. Makeup is also where you would change the colour of the red markings on the barbarian skin tone. But I'm just going to go with this appearance. You have a selection of hairstyles, like pixie ninja braid, which, yeah, okay, I guess that looks like a ninja, sure, or shoulder length, or where's long? Long creates a very large amount of hair, but I'm going to be going with spiked mohawk. Yeah, DCO has certain things that are highly limited. Certain aspects of the aesthetics of your character seem to be set on creation, which is strange. It is. You can't change body type at all, as far as I'm aware. I think you can change skin because it is an option in the cosmetic appearance menu that we'll see later. So if I wanted to, I could change the skin tone to any colour I like. But I'm going to be sticking with I don't know, I can't cancel out of changing the skin tone. Cancel just leaves character creation. Okay, fair enough. Hair tone also. I mean, this mohawk looks kind of dull until you increase the intensity and the brightness, and then change the colour. And then it starts getting quite neon rave sort of appearance. So I'm just going to go with sky blue. Eyes, you can't really see the colour. Well, you can here, but when you're actually in game and you're quite a ways away from your character, you can't really see the colour. I'm going to adjust the colour now so that when I make a change a little bit later, it actually shows up. And makeup, I can't be bothered changing because this looks fine. I mean, it's not quite, well, it's basically a nude tone. I know that some people have different coloured lips, but this is fine. It's weird that you can grow fur at all. At will, but not height or bulk. The UI for post-character creation lets you type in hexadecimal numbers to choose colours. It does, which is great. If you know what colour what colour you want, you can find it in hexadecimal and then type it in character adjustment. And you can also change the costume colours. But first, I'm going to pick options for my character's costume. I quite like emissive eyes. But you have a variety of masks. I mean, full domino just looks a bit weird because the eyes are a bit too far apart to my mind. Gas mask. I mean, that's quite a sort of post-apocalyptic punk look, if that's what you're going for. Or you've got goggles. Or sniper. I don't really see how that makes someone a sniper, but apparently that's what it is for the game. And then there's V domino, which just looks nothing so like looks like nothing quite so much as Huntress's mask. Discovered today that there are no feats for 150, 200, 250, and 300 chained hits. Yeah, unfortunately, chained hit feats only go up to 50 or maybe 100. I'll just throw in random numbers and see what they look like. Yeah, you could do that if you were picking hexadecimal. Hex code for colours. Oh yes, I want emissive eyes, don't I? There's also a variety of options in head, so helmets, full masks, or well, this is an open head mask, open face and open hair mask, so this will allow any hairstyle you've got equipped to show through, but if you had something like full devil, that would completely cover the hair as well. The hair stays there, which is nice, so if you remove the face option later, the hair will reappear. But if you want something like, is it half devil? No, that shows the face. Is it masked domino? Yes, there we are. So that will show hair, but not like a chin, mouth area. Paramilitary. Now, paramilitary is interesting because it's one of a selection of types. So, or it's a part of a set, rather, I should say. Oh yeah, you managed 300 hit combo too. Bit disappointing. Half devil is Bane's mask or close to it. Yes, and there's also, if we go back to head, it would be full wings. Looks a lot like Spawn, but probably don't try and recreate Spawn because Spawn is owned by Image Comics, not DC. And also you would struggle a bit because there isn't really a power set in or a weapon choice in DCUO that really matches up very well with Spawn's powers. So yeah, so I'll just go through and add all of the paramilitary. I'm struggling with that word, I don't know why. Paramilitary options. I don't think there's a paramilitary emblem. I also don't believe that there's a paramilitary face option. No, it's just protection goggles or shaded or sniper. But in chest there is paramilitary, which is just flak vest and a vest, and there's also backpack with a radio. There are paramilitary hands, belt, legs with a section below the knee, which is worth noting because in the paramilitary foot option it covers that up with boots. So if I picked power, well there we go, power, it covers up to the knees with boots there. So in DCUO there are costume sets which all have the same name, mostly have the same name, and you can collect these costume sets as you play through the game by unlocking more gear. When you get rewards of gear at completing missions, or when you get them in loot drops, the gear will always have a cosmetic aspect to it. Sometimes the gear will be named the same, named a different thing, but have the same cosmetic appearance, just to confuse you. But as you play through the game, you will unlock more cosmetic appearance options. The appearance options available in character creation is not the limit available to you. Probably also worth noting, the mentor that you pick, or the origin that you pick, the mentor that you pick affects the end game gear you can get. So if you pick tech, you get Batman gear, or gear from other superheroes whose powers are derived from the technology that they wield. If you pick magic, you gain access to gear that looks like Dr. Fate, or a variety of elemental heroes. If you pick meta, you gain access to some Superman, like, well, Kryptonian armor, or Hawkman armor, which is Thanagarian. Those look like ammo pouches on the front. Random loot often has costume unlock. Yep. So when you get loot from a reward from completing a mission or a series of missions, it won't just have stats as a piece of gear, but it will also unlock a piece of cosmetic appearance for your character, which you can apply, and you can freely apply any cosmetic appearance that you've unlocked to any piece of gear that you've got equipped. So if I really want to keep this appearance through the entire game, I can do, regardless of whatever gear I gain later and equip. I'm not going to be keeping this. And also probably worth noting at this point that, for example, the legs option Pyramid Slimline And let's show that off as well as we can by removing all of these options. The legs option, pyramids. Oh, hold on. There's a back option as well, isn't there? The legs option, pyramid slimline, does not have. Oh no, it does. That's a bad example. Except that doesn't really match up. That's okay. That's a bad example. There is also like reverse slimline, which is quite skimpy. If you really want to go for that sort of look. But for example, does slimline? I don't think tertiary slimline has. No, there isn't a tertiary slimline top. There is a top which matches these legs, but it's not called tertiary slimline for some fucking reason. It's streak slimline. So if you really want to find a piece that matches top and bottom, it should exist in the costume creator at the beginning of a character creation, but it won't necessarily be named the same thing. T slimline looks like this and has a match up. T slimline doesn't have a matching legs name, or rather the piece that matches up with the T slimline top is not also called T slimline, which is deeply unhelpful in my opinion. It's not Mystic Energy. Is it line slimline? No. Elaborate slimline? No. Combat slimline. Yes, here we are. So combat slimline bottoms match up with T slimline top, just to confuse you. T slimline is the one Titans wear. Teen Titans wear. Okay, cool. So yes, in character creation, if you find a pair of legs that you quite like, it will have a corresponding top, but it won't necessarily be called the same thing, which is deeply unhelpful. I don't know why, but it will be there. You can't always find a headpiece that will match, but you will be able to find legs and chests which match. So if you wanted to go with what was it, Mystic Slimline? Mystic Energy, there we are. There is Mystic Energy top and bottom, which glows, which looks quite cool. It doesn't look quite so good with this colour scheme, but whatever, I'm not picking this. I'm trying to remember if the Teen Titans have shoulders matching the stripe up the front. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I haven't really watched very much Teen Titans or read very many of the Teen Titans comics. I know who makes up the initial lineup usually, but my memories of those instances is that they have their own unique outfits. So like the initial members of the Teen Titans usually are Robin, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire. Sometimes might include later on Wonder Girl or Supergirl, or basically Teen Titans is usually where sidekicks, teenage sidekicks go from a main hero. But in those cases, they have their own unique costumes that they keep to. So, for example, Robin or Nightwing, whilst a member of the Teen Titans, doesn't usually change his outfit to a uniform that matches the other Teen Titans. But yes, so I'm going to go with Flex Suit again because I quite like the look. Legs, Flex Suit. Luckily, these are both called Flex Suit. Ice looks kind of cool. It's got kind of a satiny look to it. But that's not what we're going with. I'm also going to pick power reinforced. There are, in some cases, matching gloves and hands, like in this case, power reinforced. And there are others, like the paramilitary one. But there are some, like Luna, which don't have any matching piece in character creation. And I don't know that Luna has a matching piece, like a matching set that you unlock later. I don't think I've ever unlocked it, but hey, there we go. Yeah, there's not many that actually use the outfit I'm thinking of. Well, fair enough. So this is the appearance I'm going to go with, and then I will change the colours. So you have customized channels, which will allow you to switch up which colour of the selection you have available goes in which part of the costume. And then palette, which chooses the colour from the palette. I probably want about that sort of colour. And then we're going to make this just straight black. And then this we shall make silver. So actually this is a very simple costume color palette to create. One thing to note in my experience, if you leave after choosing colors and then come back and one of your colors is black, what will happen is it will reset to slightly, I don't know if you can really see it because I haven't left, but it will jump slightly. In these two will jump slightly if you leave and come back, and reset to basically just full red, so that the black becomes very, very, very dark red. And if that bothers you, you will need to adjust it again. But there we go. I tried out changing these colors around so that the bands here were black and these were white, but I didn't especially like that last time I tried it, so Luna feels like Eclipso stuff, and yes, they totally put Eclipso in the game. They did. Yes, that's right. So the Luna gloves, and since it's since it's based on the character Eclipso, there must be a full set. I just haven't unlocked it myself. They have Eclipso in the game. They dive really deep, pulling from lots of characters. Not quite like to the extent of pulling all the bizarre Gold and Silver Age heroes or villains, but there are a lot of heroes and villains in the game. You can, once you have created your character, find all of these costume options at various vendors in the game. So either in police safe houses or on the Watchtower, you can find all of these costume pieces. Then not every vendor has every item, so you'd need to look between all of them for all of the pieces if you absolutely wanted to get every single costume piece, which probably has some feat related to it, but it's not something I've ever bothered to do. But if you really wanted to, you could go through and unlock every costume piece. Unfortunately, in character creation, there is no shoulder option, but that does unlock, or it is available once you're actually in the game and you gain shoulder pieces that have cosmetic items as well. What else did I want to say? Yes, once you unlock a costume piece, it's available for all of your characters, but you do need to unlock it on each individual character with a special currency, and I'm not sure how you earn more of that currency. Yes, I think that's it. I've already touched on the fact that as you play the game, you will unlock more appearance options, and usually an arc or 2 arcs, or basically 2 sequences of missions, will have costume sets that are all matched. So as you go through, for example, most of the Scarecrow missions, if your mentor is Batman, you unlock a sequence of costume pieces which are all in the, I think, Iceman set, or the... It looks like... It basically ends up looking like an outfit of Dr. Freeze, or Mr. Freeze. The ones you unlock when you're playing against Faust, if your mentor is Wonder Woman, look like Egyptian costume pieces, and the ones that you unlock as you go through General Grodd's are usually, I think, like bio pieces. And then when I go to the next mission in the sequence of missions, which for this character being a meta hero will be Queen Bee, I'll pick up more costume pieces in that set. So as you play, you will get more and more pieces of gear, which all have a cosmetic appearance, and usually they will all be a part of a set, and then you'll move on to a new set when you move on to a new sequence of missions. You do also get loot drops as you play, and I think that loot drops are kind of match up with the theme of the gear that you'd be getting anyway. So if I get a loot drop from one of the gorillas I defeat, the loot will probably look like the bio armor of the rest of the loot drops that I'm getting for doing that arc of stories. It amuses me that the female electric template looks almost as much like Killer Frost as Livewire, if that's the way they made it grey in part. Yeah, so I mean, I think I can go back and look at character type inspired by,
Select a hero or
without
villain
undoing
morality.
all of the stuff that I chose. So Livewire, yeah, looks a bit like Killer Frost. I don't know if Killer Frost is in here. Oh, Eclipso is an inspiration, but all of these inspired templates use costume pieces from the character creation, so you can't secretly get a special piece of gear by picking one of those from the template, unfortunately. But yes, there are, for example, a variety of... What do I want? Oh no, I don't want to pick that. Female, large, medium.
Select exabyte download type.
So there are a variety
A
of
hero or
Batman
villain
based
morality.
and inspired costume pieces. This is the closest the game creators think you can get in character creation with the character creator available pieces. But as you play, you will get more that look closer and closer to Batman, basically. Why is it making me choose these all
Select a
again?
personality to determine.
That's weird.
Select power group from available. Displaying exabyte download summary. Appearance option.
So I
Download
discovered last
successful.
time that technical issues as a name is taken, which kind of is fine. I don't necessarily want to perfectly recreate the character that I was playing Champions Online as, so I'm going to go with quantum issues, and then I'm going to start the game and play the tutorial because it includes story elements.
Earth. The center of the multiverse. It will belong to Brainiac. I do not plan an invasion, rather an assimilation. I have identified key junctions in Earth's vast nexus of knowledge. These I will capture and digitize first. Of course, some non-essential information may be captured as well. This will be sorted and purged once the digitizing is complete. Earth's resistance does not concern me. There is no intellect strong enough, or power brutal enough to resist me. Soon this planet and all it contains will be mine. Intriguing. There is an anomaly in Earth's atmosphere. Beginning analysis. These exobytes are my own technology, each one holding unknown stores of digitized power from Earth's future. My harvester ships will simply reclaim the data provided by these exobytes and seal Earth's fate. This is a new obstacle. These humans resist my assimilation. My conversion units cannot hold them. Let the humans use their powers. In the end, they too will belong to Brainiac.
So usually Brainiac has one of two origins in DC stories. Either he is an AI that was built by Krypton to basically run the planet, or he is a member of a race called Coluans.
Fancy meeting you here. I'm Superman, and I'm going to get you off this ship.
I think everyone knows who you are, Superman.
And that's Oracle. She's going to help us navigate through Brainiac's defenses. Be on your toes for Brainiac's sentries.
We're here to save you and the others Brainiac abducted. Speak with Superman when you're ready to move on.
By the way, the Kryptonian text you see in here seems to be random nonsense. Yes, I tried translating part of it. Nice effort. I'm glad that you tried it. It's good to hear that, in fact, it is nonsense. They probably wouldn't have to put anything terribly interesting in, even if it did make sense, but very interesting to know. Thank you. I think Killer Frost is in the game, but not in the Inspired By list. Yeah, that's a bit odd, especially when there's people like Eclipso in the Inspired By list. So, travel powers available from the start. It's easiest to tell with flight or skimming, but if I were playing with acrobatics, I could just run at a wall or any vertical surface like this, and I would just start clinging to it. I think I would need to turn on travel powers if I was super speed, and then I could just run at a surface and then start running up it. Although I wouldn't want to try it in here because there are a lot of like overhangs in here, and camera controls when you're upside down using super speed get very confusing very quickly, and I quite dislike it. As I mentioned, there is no falling damage in the game, but what there is a really cool superhero 3-point landing, which, oh hey, welcome Captain Patriot. 3-point landings, very bad for you in real life, but if you're a super resilient person, probably not such a big deal. The Inspired By Cersei template reminds me almost as much of Starfire as Cersei. Yeah. 3-point landings, hard on the knees, but also generally just hard on the body, because you're removing, if you're not using your legs to absorb the impact, you're basically stressing your entire body, like you're just shaking it up unnecessarily. Just notice your costume uses nearly the same costume as Mr. Freeze template. Oh, really? So initially, in the first variant of the tutorial, Superman does not show up to help you. It's just Oracle talking on your comm system. Oracle, by the way, is Barbara Gordon. She becomes Oracle after she's Batgirl. So Barbara Gordon is the first Batgirl, or yeah, she never becomes Batwoman as far as I'm aware. In what was supposed to be a sort of Elseworlds What If comic book, The Killing Joke, the Joker shoots Barbara Gordon in the stomach, which damages her spine and renders her paraplegic, unable to use her legs. After which point, well, in the comic Killing Joke, you don't see what happens afterwards. You don't even know that her legs become disabled. But general comic book creators in DC decided that after this, they would include Killing Joke in canon, and that after that point, Barbara Gordon becomes paralyzed and becomes Oracle. So she uses her incredible intellect to become a hacker and basically sort of a mission control overseer sort of character for, well, basically in here, the Justice League, but it starts out just being for Batman, helping him with, like, online hacking and stuff, and information finding. So that's... If you don't have a contact for a mission, Oracle will be the contact, and in fact, she sometimes will butt in anyway. So let's begin... Oh, well, actually, whilst I'm here, I will show you feats. So as you do feats, you gain feat points, and once you get 100, you gain a skill point. And with skill points, you can buy new combos in here. But you also, it's definitely worth noting, you also can spend skill points in your travel power. So at level 8 at some point, you gain a skill point, and then at level 9 you gain the ability to unlock fast travel upgrades for your travel powers. So in flight it will be supersonic speed. You need to remember that when you gain a skill point at level 8, the best thing to use it on is giving yourself fast travel. So also in flight you gain dive bomb, which is knocks down enemies anytime you dive downward and have reached critical velocity. Whirlwind attack, which is an attack you can put in your hotbar. Downdraft, which is another attack you can put in your hotbar, and swoop attack, which is a third. So it's not 4, it's 3. Not that, that's devil horns. It's 3 attacks you can get from your... unless these are attacks as well. Oh yes. These are a variety of attacks. So in fact there's, what, 3, 5, 8? And there are also these, which are passive, or, well, this game calls it innate, but passive abilities permanently increases resistance to incases and roots or stuns. So these are worth taking, I think, because they improve your character's ability to resist control effects. This might be worth taking. It's... So when I'm swooping downwards, and you get that sort of ring and that sort of thunderous burst, well, kind of a thunderous burst like this, that noise, that means that you're reaching terminal velocity, and once you have made that sound whilst flying downwards, and you have dive bomb, swooping past enemies will blow them over, basically. You also have iconic powers, which include things like Amazonian deflection, like Wonder Woman, or mesmerizing lasso, but it also has batarangs, clown box, gag glove, robot sidekick, hard light shield, sonic shout. So if you want to create a Kryptonian, you can get heat vision and freezing breath. Super strength is the only non-active like click button power in iconic powers, and it increases the weapon damage you deal and also gains you the ability to lift very, very big objects, which I think is cool. And you also have stat points which you unlock. I'm not sure when, maybe... When do you unlock these? Requires level 15, but I don't know when these unlock. And basically this allows you to choose whether to be a weapons expert, a balance, or a superpower, or a power expert. So you pick one of these to focus on if you particularly like using your weapon combos and don't really use powers, then you would choose this. If you want a balance, you choose this, and if you like using your powers and don't really care very much for your weapons, then you choose this. As I have been playing for a long time and have unlocked a lot of costume options, there are a variety of costume pieces available in here that I've unlocked. So the Egyptian pieces you would get from doing missions for Wonder Woman, or at least you usually get them if you're mentor is Wonder Woman. Yes, here we are. Fate's Faith. So this is a piece of, or this is the cosmetic appearance from a piece of endgame gear. And obviously you're not limited by your... do I get the gloves? No. Must have got the legs though. Yeah. So you're not limited by your origin in terms of the costume pieces you can apply to your gear, but to unlock these pieces of gear you do have to be playing, or it's certainly easiest. I don't know for sure whether you can't, but it's definitely easiest to be playing a magic origin hero to unlock the Fates armor pieces. So if you want to confuse people and you have a lot of time, you can play one origin by the endgame gear and then apply it to a different origin character just to mess with people. Amusingly, one of the inspiration templates is Geoforce. I don't actually remember who that is. On the wiki it mentioned that there used to be more passives, but most of them got axed. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know that I was paying that much attention to the game at the time. Geoforce is a member of the Teen Titans occasionally. She has power over Earth. I don't remember exactly what her origin is. I think that she's an Eastern European princess who gets kidnapped and sort of brainwashed by Deathstroke, and then goes undercover with the Teen Titans so that she can betray them. Oh yes, I want to... so with DCUO you can buy Daybreak cash with real world currency to buy all sorts of things, like Holly Leaves if you really want, or the Booster Bundle. I've basically only spent them on cosmetic items or unlocking the various power sets. I haven't bought water, but I have bought all the others. And then once you have bought cosmetic items, for example, you redeem them here. You do have to go through unlocking them all individually. Just because you have them available here doesn't mean that they are available in the list in your character editor that I showed you before. So I want temporal bulwark. There we go. That's the temporal shield. And I might as well get the digital one as well. Digital shield. There we go. You gain feat points from having 10 and 25 costume pieces unlocked. Oh yes, I am thinking of Terra with the being an Eastern European princess who gets kidnapped and brainwashed by Deathstroke. So Geoforce is a different character, who I don't remember ever seeing. So fair enough. But Geoforce obviously is, again, from the character's appearance and their name, must be an Earth controller of some kind. Geoforce, as far as I'm aware, does not become a member of Teen Titans. I made a mistake. So, if you're playing a villain, Lex Luthor will always show up. And if you're playing a hero, Superman will always show up here. Ravenforce found this out for me after doing some experimentation, so thank you very much for that. Even if I chose Wonder Woman as my mentor, she wouldn't show up here to help me escape. It's just Superman.
While we're here, we need to stop this ship from abducting anyone else. And send Brainiac a message Earth isn't going to fall to Brainiac or anyone else.
You still have your weapons. Use them to get rid of the debris blocking the door.
So I mentioned Brainiac tends to have one of two origin stories. In this instance, I think...
You attracted some attention. Sentries are headed your way.
Here they come. Get ready for a fight.
A Coluan, not a Kryptonian AI, given his appearance, which we saw during the cutscene, and also which we will see a bit later when we fight him as a boss at the end of this tutorial. Coluans are green humanoids, and the Coluan version of Brainiac has brain implants. 3 of them linked up. I just got a feat there for having a 25 hit combo. There is a feat for a 50 hit combo, and I think one for 100 hits, which it is worth getting because feats gain you skill points as you gain feats. If you get 100 feat points, you gain a skill point, but you don't have to earn it in real combat, and you don't have to earn it during the tutorial. You can just go to the Watchtower when you're level 9 and fight a training dummy and get your combo feats there, which is way easier than trying to do it during combat. And depending on the enemies you fight,
I will patrol towards the prisoner bay.
And the weapon option that you chose.
They patrol parts of the ship and protect it from intruders like you. It
Depending
won't
on,
let you pass.
for fuck's sake. I do like that the game has lots of voice lines, but they just show up at random all the time, and whoops. Because I'm trying to talk and I don't want to talk over them, I'm gonna have to just keep breaking my my sentences up even more than I usually do. If I can recall correctly, it used to be you chose alignment after escaping. The heroes and villains both show up, and you choose whether to leave with Superman or Lex Luthor. Not in my memory. And I'm pretty sure that I played the game since the beginning. So if that's how it originally was, they changed it pretty quickly, because in all of my memory of playing the game, you choose your alignment during character creation in the binary alignment choice. Hero or villain. I've never seen Lex Luthor and Superman show up here to try and sway you to one side or the other. So originally this door was locked in the tutorial, and there was a sort of a vent up here that you had to fly through or get up to, depending on your character's travel powers. So initially it was just a bare wall, and then obviously that was too confusing or difficult for people with super speed and acrobatics, so they added a series of crates here stacked up so that you could actually get up to the right height by jumping on the crates, and I guess that even that was too difficult for people to manage, so they've removed the vent up there and have just turned this into the vent. So this used to be a corridor, now this is what the vent above used to look like, and they've just decided that these guys, when they're moving through the ship, move through these vents.
I know this is a lot to ask, but we need your help. We can disable this ship. destroy its central AI core. Brainiac has more ships. This one has some key systems. Taking it out will slow his invasion.
You can see parts of Metropolis
You'll
below
find
us.
that you can always trust Oracle to know what's up. She helps the entire Justice League on our missions.
Oh, here he is. There also used to be more, like, corridors and rooms in the tutorial, but they removed those, presumably for time or simplicity. Also used to be that the Brainiac boss that you fight at the end looked a lot like these guys, only much bigger, like twice the height of your character, instead of basically the same height or slightly larger, like a couple of heads taller than your character. The reason that I'm destroying these barrels is that you gain a feat for destroying 5 orange barrels. There we go, got one.
You shouldn't try to solve your problems with violence.
And you also get another feat for destroying 5 red barrels. There are some other colored barrels, like green, I think.
The Justice League have arrived to back you up. They'll draw some of Brainiac's.
But you don't get a feat, as far as I'm aware, for destroying 5 or any number of the other colored barrels in the game. It's just the red ones and the orange ones, for some reason. Again, previously...
it doesn't take X-ray vision to see you're up to no good.
Yeah, he's only got like 3 voice lines and he repeats them quite a lot, so it gets a little bit grating. Thankfully the tutorial is not very long. So in the original tutorial, no superheroes turned up to help you, not Superman, not Flash, not Green Lantern, until the very end when you fight Brainiac. And then I think only Superman showed up.
If you're looking for a fight, try me.
And even the fight at the end has been simplified. All of it's easier, presumably because if the fight is too difficult, it serves as a barrier to players. And to be fair, a tutorial isn't supposed to be challenging you, it's supposed to be teaching you about the systems in the game and the combat. So while a difficult fight would be acceptable, a difficult boss fight would be acceptable.
Wow, so many robots. This is a classic bad news, good news situation. The bad news is that those robots are starting to activate. The good news is that the Flash and Green Lantern are there to help you fight them. Those two have always been my favorites. Don't ever tell Batman I said that.
So I'm not surprised that they simplified the boss fight at the end of the tutorial, but it would have been perfectly acceptable to have a boss fight that difficult later in the game. So when she said that don't tell Batman I said that Green Lantern and Flash are her favourites, surprises me because typically in most canon, Barbara Gordon as Batgirl and Nightwing, who is Dick Grayson, the first Robin, typically have a relationship, a romantic relationship. So if she asked you, please don't tell someone that my favourite is this guy, or these guys, I would expect her to say, please don't tell Nightwing they are my favourites, but hey ho. So yes, I suppose if you're very careful, you probably could get a 50 hit combo here, but you don't have to. You can wait until... In fact, there we go. Getting that to line up is probably a bit tricky. You don't have to do it. You can wait until you can get to the Watchtower and gain access to a training dummy to unlock the feat for getting 50 hits. So I personally really like the combat in this game. It's much more reactive and visceral than most MMOs because it's an action game rather than just a straight RPG. I wish that more RPGs...
Green Lantern and the Flash to take out the ship's main gun. Brainiac doesn't mess around.
Hey, welcome, Katie Rose. Glad to see you here. I'm just going through the tutorial of DCUO. This is a Let's Play where I focus on the stories that the game is trying to tell, so I will be talking about origin stories and how things appear in sort of Elseworlds comics, and I'll be taking my time and going over the story rather than rushing through. This fight is a great combo scenario. Yeah, it's pretty good. The fact that they awaken gradually in a staggered sequence makes sense for introducing characters to combat, but doesn't really lend itself to getting high combos. You got 300 by beating up the endless wave of Brainiac drones that tries to rip Batman's face off later. Ah, okay, fair enough. So, for example, Superman has usually just the one origin story, that he comes from Krypton, but there are a few Elseworlds stories where, for example, Superman comes down in 1960s Russia rather than America, so he becomes a communist and knows Stalin. That's a comic called Superman Red Sun. Some don't really know 1 to 30 is a big tutorial. Yeah, 1 to 30, because you can get to max level pretty quickly in this game as compared to other MMOs and other RPGs. So you could do it in a couple of weeks if you play for a few evenings a week, maybe a month or so. And then once you're level 30, you start getting access to bigger team content, and you start to unlock, is it challenge rating or combat rating gear? So you get your level to 30 and then you get a combat rating, or well, CR, and then that can increase up to 200, 300 or more.
Uh-oh. These energy readings. Brainiac has a full invasion force stored on this ship. We have to destroy it.
Amazed that she didn't note that when Superman flew past. But oh well. That six-legged bug that ran across the force field screen wasn't originally in here. I don't think it adds anything. It's obviously supposed to be a jump scare, but it just kind of looks annoying. It doesn't serve its function, its intended function, and it would probably be better if it was removed. But, whatever. Yes,
all
since I'm...
move into position. Contain the human.
Since I'm playing for the story, once I get to level 30 and I've done some amount of endgame content, I am going to switch out and create a villain character so that I can show the villain side of the story, which, because of my personal preference to play heroes, I've never actually played very much of. So I know that there is almost another half of the game in the villain side of things that, because of my preference, I've never actually played. So I'm going to be exploring that.
I believe I'm willing to make an exception.
Later, probably in a month or so's time, when I get to level 30.
Move into position. Contain the human.
Another difference between DCUO and Champions Online is that pressing shift in both brings up your shield. In DCUO, you only have the one strength of shield. You don't have to hold down shield, don't hold down block to charge up a shield, which I found very frustrating in Champions Online. Like, I would have my shield up, protecting myself, and if I hadn't had it up long enough, before a control effect hit me, I would still be controlled by the control effect, which was frustrating. Particularly because in Champions Online, you can't, as a player, play as a control character. The archetype doesn't work. What tied with CO? Well, with CO, I did about as much as I thought that I could solo, because when I'm playing streams, I want to... Oh, welcome, by the way. Sorry, I didn't... I noticed that you were here. Welcome, Admiral Mimo. Good to see you. In Champions Online, I like to slow down and take my time looking at the stories, and if I was doing that with a bunch of randomly assigned players or people who would just control in DCO, doesn't work on bosses either. Well, fair, but it does work on mobs, which is more than I can say for Champions Online. So because I want to take my time and look at the story and talk slowly over the stuff that I'm seeing in the game, I didn't want to slow down other random players.
Central AI core. You two should help Wonder Woman and Batman destroy it. But be ready. Brainiac won't be happy about it.
I didn't want to disrupt other people's play experience in Champions Online, so I did as much as I thought I could solo, or mostly solo. I occasionally had a couple of people who watched the stream help me out, so I decided that was enough. I played enough, and also did kind of get a little bit bored of playing Champions Online. I wanted to move on to something else, and I wanted to move on to this because it's basically the other superhero MMO that's available to play. Batman's knuckles must be getting really sore, must they? Unlike Superman and Wonder Woman, they have superhuman resilience. So yes, part of it is that I got tired of CO, but only a very small part of it. Most of it is that as I said, oh, you do get 100 hit combo. Okay. So I switched to playing this. So in the original tutorial, there used to be 4 towers located around here, much like these ones here, that you had to destroy individually whilst waves of enemies spawned, and you didn't have superheroes here helping you out. So it probably was a bit difficult to manage. You then got a short cutscene.
There, just as I feared. He's one of Superman's biggest bads, but between you and the Trinity, you should be able to take him. Just hurry. The ship
got a bit of a cutscene like this.
apart, and Brainiac is blocking me from opening a teleporter. Don't want our newest friend going down with the ship.
Brainiac, I won't let you do to Earth what you did to Kandor on Krypton. You won't bottle this time.
So it used to be that the camera would move outside of the ship and look up through this window down here. And if you positioned your character just right over here, you could actually see yourself through the floor when the camera was down below. Not so anymore, they don't do that. They move the camera. Yes, that's the other thing. If you're controlled by a control effect and you tap shift to bring up shield, you break the control effect. You don't have to like hammer on F like you did in Champions Online, which the game very much prefer that. Yeah, so in this version, Brainiac is a Coleman rather than a Kryptonian AI. Not sure in this version why he's so obsessed with collecting things. I guess he's just kind of a knobhead. Which I suppose can be said for most of the villains in DC. So there are 2 power sets, Rage and Atomics, which have an attack that you gain early on, which allows you to teleport lunge to your target. And with it, the car's attacks...
You have won, for I wear many shells. I am the source.
How much talking we have here? Not much, okay. So because the attacks in this take up physical space and move, rather than being locked onto their target and just homing, as they are in Champions Online, if you time it right and you've got a power that lets you teleport, you can teleport through that oncoming wave of orbs that he launches, or later with other attacks from other enemies that kind of move in a wave at you. If you time it right, you can teleport through the wave and dodge it entirely. One version of Brainiac has him as a guy who basically decided to take over the universe because he's the smartest guy around, or thinks he is. I think Brainiac sometimes gets to that point, like in the Justice League cartoon that kind of led on from the Batman animated and Superman animated series. He was a bit like that, or he became like that when he fused with Lex Luthor. But yeah, basically all the villains in DC overhype themselves. They overestimate themselves. During this, Brainiac claimed that no force could match him or resist him, and yet here we are breaking out of one of his ships at started at level 1, now level 3. So clearly some amount of force is capable of defeating him, and it's relative to more powerful players, a fairly small amount of force. So yeah, I mean, he talks a big game. Most of the villains talk a big game, but they're actually not that impressive.
If you're interested in joining the fight for justice, the League would be happy to teach you.
Phew, I'm impressed. You're definitely on your way to greatness. Now get out of there and I'll contact you on the ground.
Yep, there we go. Cutscene.
Brainiac, a nightmare from my past, here to ravage Earth. Our shared might unable to stop him. But now we have a chance. New heroes, with powers saved from a doomed future. Heroes able to take on all threats. I know today's Lex Luthor. Even the warnings of his own future self cannot stop his mad vendetta. I am Superman. I stand for truth, for justice, and for the future.
Lex Luthor likes to put on a veneer of reasonableness and urbanity, but he typically is pretty unreasonable. Yes, once you complete a story arc or a sequence of missions, you'll get a short cutscene like that, which really was more of an animated slideshow, but still cool, with some voiceover, which kind of explains how you got to that point. In this case, it was at the end of just the one mission, because this is the tutorial, but the next sequence of missions we do against General Grodd, we'll get a slideshow like that at the end of the boss fight against Grodd, at the end of the story sequence. So let's teleport to Earth, or to the surface, I suppose. So I just got a piece of gear from that. It's the Jarkir style item, as well as having stats. And if I want to, I can go to the style tab here and pick back. I've got a lot of these unlocked because I have played a bunch, and put a Jarkir cape on, which whips around. And you can kind of see here on my character, so as I go through choosing different options, they will appear on my character in real time. I don't know whether these will. No, they won't. So there's a wide variety of styles you can unlock as you play. I'm just going to stick with none for now. So all of the safe houses are laid out basically the same way, with holding cells over here, a room up here for vendors, and a room up here with a teleporter and mailboxes. But thematically, the ones in Metropolis... Oops,
now that you're off the ship, I'm Oracle. You've just teleported into the MPD's 3rd Precinct Station, one of the many Justice League safe houses we keep in Gotham and Metropolis. The safe houses are where you'll find contacts for missions, mailboxes, vendors, and the teleporter to the Justice League Watchtower.
Which you can't use yet. You used to be able to use the teleporter
This is Superman.
Oh, come on.
I saw how you dealt with Brainiac. I'm asking you to help us with the situation here in Metropolis. With the Brainiac attacks, we need all the help we can get. Gorilla Grodd's army is attacking and devolving humans into apes. We've got to stop them before they overtake Metropolis.
You gonna talk to me anymore? You're gonna leave me be. Jarkir is some sort of alien fashion. Apparently Collierans use it. Cool, I didn't know that. I mean, I know that Jarkir is a costume set. I didn't know that it was typically worn by Collierans. Teleporting to Watchtower is mostly a map menu function now. I guess. I mean, I don't know if you can teleport to the Watchtower yet. I mean, you used to be able to at whatever level, but I think it's been changed so that you can only get there at level 9 now, or after level 9. So there are a variety of vendors around here, and there are some contacts, like later we'll talk to Dr. Sarah Charles in an arc where you fight against Dr. Psycho. There's also these, which I'll deal with later. This is a means by which you can take a tour around different areas of Metropolis or Gotham and get some backstory about the locations. There's a sequence of like cubicles and office desks, and then holding cells for people. Sometimes you'll see villains in these holding cells. This also has the Flash here, and this is where we'll come to talk to him after we've helped him against Grodd later. Another vendor here, which is for legendary stuff, I guess. I don't know what that currency is, but I assume that you unlock it later. Occasionally you'll have a sort of mini event happening inside a safe house like this. So a petty criminal will escape, break his bonds, and try and run out of the precinct, and it will appear on your mini-map up in the top right there as a red dot. And if you defeat him and then press interact next to him, you put him back in cuffs and basically recapture him, and you get a small amount of XP for it. So in the Chinatown safe house, Zatanna can be found here. This being the what safe house is this? Little Bohemia safe house. She's not available, but the Metropolis safe houses all have a sort of bright Art Deco design style. They all have this desk carved out of marble, which is very fancy, and they all have lights above. I think the Chinatown one has like more green in it, but the Gotham ones, whilst having the same basic layout, all look completely different. Like, they're run down, they've got cracks in the slabs of concrete that make up the floor. They've got like bits of tech all around in the walls. And another difference between Metropolis and Gotham is that it's always day in Metropolis and it's always night in Gotham. And in fact, sometimes when you're in Gotham flying around, you can hear NPCs sometimes say, I can't remember the last time I saw the sun, which is pretty grim, but kind of amusing as well. So in every safe house there is a vendor always
Keeping
located
your
here.
equipment in good working order makes all the difference, as well as making sure you've got the latest, greatest gear.
At whom you can repair all your gear. You can buy soda cola, which is basically healing potions, and this is also where you can find pieces of gear that you saw available in the character creation. And if you absolutely want to unlock all of them, this is where you do it. So he has a selection of them. Another vendor in another safe house will have another selection. You can also unlock shields, well, weapons, basically, or one of every type of weapon. All of these do have stats, as well as being a cosmetic item. Well, in fact, all of these have stats as well, but it's definitely not worth buying these for the stats. As with most MMOs, or, well, RPGs, you can get stat gear from early vendors like this, but it's not worth buying them, because you will get, particularly in this, you will get gear as you go through missions in as rewards, or sometimes as drops, and you can use that, and it will always be better than the gear you get from this guy. So I appreciate that you're here, Detective Thompson, and I appreciate that those items are there available for sale, because they can be cosmetic items, but it's not worth buying the gear for the gear's sake. Something else worth noting is that as you go through, there are well, I'll show you in a little bit, but it's worth knowing that you can sometimes get gear from messages like this. So I like to save messages from contacts like that. In fact, let's read that one, because it's part of the story. Archive. A little something. Welcome to the good fight. Not everyone makes it out of those ships alive, and we still aren't sure what happens to those who don't. So here's a little memento from me to honor your escape, and definitely check your mail often. We can always use a hero with your kind of firepower. Oh yes, a small note about the UI. So you can change the scale of the UI in the settings, so you can make it larger or smaller, but as far as I'm aware, it's not possible to, like, gain a cursor and grab, like, the mini-map and move it up to the corner of the screen, and the bit at the top left that has my name and my like my status, you can't move that to the edges of the screen. I've got them minimized as much as possible in terms of size, just so you can see more of the game, but you can't grab them and move the elements, which is deeply unfortunate in my opinion, because you can in many other games. I don't know why you can't in this. Probably because this was a game created to be playable on multiple systems, not just PC. So, for example, on Xbox 360, you wouldn't be able to grab the UI and move it around very easily. You used to have a mission from this guy, or, well, someone in every safe house, every starting safe house, who stood around here. In this case, it's Protostar SL Blakely, but in other safe houses, he would be called something else, from whom you would get a mission to defeat a Brainiac Incursion that's happening nearby. I think that the Brainiac stuff is still happening nearby, but at least just at the moment, you can't. Chinatown also has jade statues. Cool. So that's the Christmas jingle theme. It's quite jolly. So yes, to use your travel powers, you can press T. So you would need to do that if you had super speed, for example. But with flight, I can just press spacebar and leap into the air. I'll have a look around and see if I can find where... Yeah, here we are. So the Brainiac Incursion is still happening here. I just haven't been directed to do anything about it. I don't know whether I will. Gospic 6 has turned up because he's found it somehow. I don't know whether he's been asked to do it by a contact, or whether he's just found it and decided to have a go. But so next to every starter safe house there is a section like this with Brainiac bots trying to invade or having an incursion, and there is a sequence of missions related to that without a boss fight in an instance at the end, as far as I can remember. I don't know whether I'll be in Laughlaze isn't now in DCUO. Yeah, there's I'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know whether I'll be directed to do any Brainiac stuff later, but I mean, hopefully I will, because hopefully the content has been removed, just offset slightly. So, interestingly, it appears as though the outside of this police station kind of matches the interior that we looked at. So, like, there's a bridge over here where you would expect to see a bridge from the... where would you expect to see it? Would this be the vendor room, and then the mail room over here through a little tunnel, and then the main body of the building? I don't know. Never mind. Laughlaze, yes, Laughlaze is part of the Christmas event, like seasonal event. I hate Laughlaze, not as a character but as an enemy to fight. The guy in comics can demolish entire planets almost at will and is absurdly durable. Yeah, putting enemies in the game, they have to alter their abilities and their durability and like their resilience in fights a bit, so that they gamify it, which I understand, but probably is a bit disappointing if you come into the game expecting to experience a fully story-based experience. But yeah, so we'll have a voice line when we get here. What we should do.
Tried to stop Grodd's gorillas at the Queensland Boardwalk, but they're using tech even Star Labs hasn't seen in action before. See what you can do about shutting this down.
So, objectives inside of a mission area, which is on the map is marked with an orange box like this, will have that. I'm not doing any damage. We'll have that lightning bolt above the head, which is helpful. Also, inside of or near mission areas like this, there will be. I'll go and find it in a moment, but there will be a green exclamation mark in a circle, and if you float next to it, yes, over here, you get a bit of audio log related to the mission you're doing.
Gorilla Technician report. General Grodd brilliantly designed this to shred upon impact, ensuring maximum devastation.
So there are a number of these dotted around throughout each mission area. There are more of these little hologram markers than there are voice lines, or at least I think later on they perfectly match up in numbers, so you have to be careful when you're looking for them. But certainly in earlier stages like this, there are more of them than there are voice logs, so to make sure that you can find all of them. And if you find all of them, you gain a feat, and that gives you points towards a skill point, and you also get sent an in-game message by the superhero who you were helping. So in this case, when I get all of these, I'll be sent a message by the Flash with a bit of text like the message I got from Oracle, and a piece of gear, which I haven't actually put on my character yet. There we go. So it's definitely worth finding all of these and listening to them all, even if you don't pay them any attention. because it will get you feat points, which add up. When you get 100 of them, you get a skill point to spend on making your character better by getting more combos or more flight options, or I've got 2 combos, 2 skill points to spend. Cool. I'll unlock throwing my shield harder. You also get a piece of gear which may or may not be useful to you depending on how long it's been since you did that content, but also will be a cosmetic piece. So I've got better shield throwing, which is cool.
Here's some background intel. Gorilla Grodd is a hyper-intelligent ape who hates humanity. He believes apes, meaning himself, should rule. As if Brainiac weren't bad enough.
For anyone curious, Larfleeze is the Orange Lantern and has as much power as the entire Green Lantern Corps put together.
Are trapping civilians with Grodd's devolution devices. Destroy the devices and weaken Grodd's forces.
Green Lantern Corps put together since he's the only wielder of the orange light. Yes, I'm very familiar with Larfleeze and the Orange Lanterns because for a long time I read a piece of fanfic called With This Ring, wherein a self-insert entered the Teen Titans, the Young Justice universe, and gained an Orange Lantern ring. I was already a fan of Young Justice. I really enjoyed that story up until the point the author revealed himself to be a raging transphobe. So I stopped reading because no thank you. Which is a shame because I've been enjoying the story up to that point, but oh well. Fun fact, if your power is ice, you can't make barrels explode by throwing ice at them. Ha! That is a fun fact. Well, it must be frustrating if you've got ice powers and you try it, but good to know. Near almost all locations for missions, there will be people like this who have
Grodd's
side missions for you.
teleporters run off fuel cells. The more we destroy, the fewer troops they can bring in. Think you're up for it?
In most cases, side missions like this will be things that you were probably going to do anyway, or, well, in this specific case, he's asking you to destroy these red barrels, which just explode, so destroying them is fun. You might decide to use it tactically if there are some gorillas next to it, to stun them, or you might decide to pick up some of the barrels to throw, as I will do in a moment. Because you can fly next to them, or move next to them, pick them up, and toss them at the gorillas.
It is needed on the front.
I mean, they say fuel cells, but I think really what they are is barrels full of oil. Or, well, probably, no, oil doesn't explode, does it? Why can I beat him up? That's weird. So here's another of these audio log collections.
Gorilla Technician report. This chassis is infused with a metal alloy so advanced, the humans' primitive weapons won't even leave a scratch.
Collections? Oh no, not collections then. There's investigations. Metropolis investigations, Gorilla bomb components. So all of these audio logs that I'm finding here during the Gorilla Grodd mission sequence are related to a Gorilla bomb, basically. And it will give you an idea of what you'll get, so I'll get a leg piece from this. There are also blue exclamation marks dotted around, just all throughout Metropolis and Gotham, which aren't specifically related to any... Well, okay, so the one that I find over here is related to Gorilla Grodd attacking the Metropolis boardwalk, but this collection that it's a part of, so like, I'll show you in a minute.
Lois Lane with Daily Planet Live, breaking news. The Metropolis waterfront is under attack by the hyper-intelligent ape, Gorilla Grodd, and his army. Experts say Grodd's devolution technology can control unsuspecting minds, turning humans into primitive slaves. Grodd's longtime nemesis, the Flash, is on the scene with the Metropolis Police Department. More as it comes.
So that one that I found here is directly related to Gorilla Grodd, but where would that be? Investigations? Collections? Player briefs. Yes, there we go. Survival of the Fittest, Episode 1. So not all of the pieces in this... I don't want to hear that again. Not all of the pieces in this are linked together, so there are 6 of them. Not all 6 will be related to Gorilla Grodd. So this is a voice line from Lois Lane. The next one will be from Lois Lane. Then Vicki Vale, who is another reporter character who is from Gotham, I think. And briefly dates Batman, or well, Bruce Wayne. Jack Ryder is another journalist. I think Jack Ryder might be... Is it Madman or Maniac? So there is a character who's a journalist who falls into basically the same vat of chemicals that made the Joker, but he turns into like a good mad person who runs around being a hero and kind of crazy. You don't see him very often. He does turn up occasionally in the cartoons. I think the one I remember most clearly is where he, I think he's Madman. He falls for Harley Quinn and tries to woo her, and then this one's from Lex Luthor and this one's from Superman. And I don't know what they're all related to. I mean, I guess I'll find them as I go, but in this case this will get me, looks like a gun in a holster, or maybe that's a shoulder piece, I don't know. So finding all of these in blue things, in blue exclamation marks dotted around, will also get me costume pieces. But they aren't necessarily all linked together thematically as closely as the ones in green. I know that there's a sequence of them that lets you unlock a set of bird wings, for example. So if you particularly want your character to have bird wings, and you didn't choose that as an option in character creation, you can unlock bird wings for your character by finding all of the specific collection blue exclamation mark collections. And listen to them all. Oh, well, you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to pay any attention at all. You could turn off
Protect the fuel cell.
voice audio from NPCs if you didn't want to listen to it at all, and you wouldn't have to listen to any of the voice lines. But it is worth unlocking costume pieces. At least it's worth unlocking 10 and then 25, which will happen gradually anyway as you play, because you get feats for 10 and 25. And as I've said before, getting feats gradually unlocks skill points. And I don't think that I've mentioned, but it is worth noting that skill points can continue to be unlocked after you reach max level. I don't know quite how many.
Grodd's usual trick is mind control, so I'm betting that's part of those devolvers. Grodd turns people to apes, then controls their minds. He considers us uncivilized villains.
Yes, so Jack Ryder is rather obnoxious in-game and starts all of his
now
new
that Grodd's main force is weakened, we need to help those devolved citizens. Grodd has neural arrays clustered on rooftops nearby to reinforce his devolution devices. Take those out, and you can create a device to reverse the devolution effect. Flash is going after Grodd in his hideout. This should be over soon.
Yes, so Jack Ryder in-game is kind of obnoxious and starts all of his news bulletins by saying, "You are wrong." Or, "I am Jack Ryder and you are wrong about a certain thing, about a particular subject." Thankfully he's not obnoxious and right-wing and anti-hero like as in against heroes rather than being an anti-hero thematically, like G. Gordon Godfrey, who I absolutely hate personally. I kind of like Jack Ryder. As you listen to more of his bulletins, as you listen to more of his audio logs, you get the impression that he's just kind of trying to... He functions a little bit like Penn and Teller, when he's telling you that something is bullshit. So like he'll tell you that you're wrong about something and then explain why, and it will kind of explain a bit about the universe and give a bit about his background, and like often it will be information worth knowing, but beginning each transmission with "and you are wrong" is, yes, kind of annoying. Oh wow, I wasn't able to attack anything in this area when I tried this mission earlier. Really? That's very strange. You should at least be able to attack the NPCs that are around. Oh yeah, there's a side mission over here with these sort of long tubular devices that just isn't marked on the map. So with the right powers and weapon choices, and if you're quick enough, you can defeat these dudes. And interact with this before the gorilla teleports in. Oh well, no, I didn't manage at that point. But he still managed to get controlled for attacking me, so I was able to complete the attack. But maybe that's an interaction with the power that I'm using. I think... Oh yeah, so if you're too close to an explosion like that, it will throw you back, putting you in what is technically in the game a control effect. But if you just tap, shift, or block, you will break the control effect and then regain control of your character. So, like if you get caught in an explosion from this, for example, or there's things a bit later on over here that explode as well, you can regain control of your character before you fall off platforms or whatever, or at least before you hit the ground, by just tapping shift. No, I wasn't able to do it that time. So yeah, I'm surprised that you weren't able to attack enemies in this area, Ravenforce. I mean, you should be able to, but if you can't, it's not really that big of a deal. Like if you're just doing it to go around collecting all the audio logs so that you've got that feat completed, then in fact it probably just makes it easier for you. Do I have? Oh no, I've only got that mission. I must have completed the one here. Cool. Oh yes. These are exhibits. They have that audio cue, that sort of hum. You used to get one of three, either a red, a yellow, or a blue one. In your inventory you have this, which marks something as... if you grab a piece of gear or an object and then hold it over this and let go, it marks it as not sellable. So you won't sell it. You won't even appear on the list of things that you can sell when you are at a vendor, and you use these to upgrade your character later. It will I'll get a tutorial about how to do it later when it becomes relevant. But just be aware that they're around. They spawn in a set selection of places, but at random in those locations, so they won't always be there every time you check. So here, if I stay too close to this whilst it if I stay too close to that whilst it explodes, I get thrown off the platform. But if I hit shift, I break the control effect of the explosion and can tell my character to start flying again, so that she doesn't just fall all the way. It would be annoying if I was, for example, a super speed character, and I got caught in that explosion. So if you're a super speed or an acrobatics character, it's worth moving away from anything that you know will explode, so that you don't get blown off of whatever tall object you're on.
Gorilla Technician report. General Grodd designed the detonator to pick up psychic vibrations so slight, even thinking about the sensor can trip confused.
It just seems like a bad design choice, where specifically a detonator for a bomb, like, where even thinking about the detonator will start it going. That just seems like a terrible choice. But even earlier voice lines where the technician was talking about the super advanced alloy that is so resilient that humans' primitive weapons won't even leave a scratch. Well,
until that device loses power, you can free people from Grodd's devolution effects. Help citizens. Get that tech off the streets.
We've already seen that my character at level, well, I think it was 4 or 5 at the time, but at level 6 now, is perfectly capable of smashing Gorilla Tech to bits, basically with her bare hands. And this would be the same whether I was a meta-human or a magic-based hero or even a tech-based hero. These will show up occasionally, which will drop collection objects that appear in your inventory. So the gift bag of Baklava is a seasonal event item unrelated to the Brainiac System Breaker data matrix. A node like that, a gold question mark, will usually only drop these, but obviously during a seasonal event it will drop another thing. And you select these and add them to your collections. Not quite sure what you get at the end. And those also appear in random places. They won't appear in set places at all. I think it's collections, global collections, Brainiac War. So this will get me a shoulder piece, it looks like. Not quite sure what this will get me. Some kind of demon-faced object. So that will also give you cosmetic cosmetic appearance unlocks, it would seem.
Gorilla Technician report. An ingenious device. It breaks down human genetic material for easy manipulation.
I said this on Monday, but breaking down genetic material just sounds like the kind of thing that happens when you damage DNA with radiation. It doesn't sound like a good thing at all. It just sounds like you're giving someone radiation poisoning and basically killing them. I mean, given that this is a superhero universe, it obviously isn't deadly, despite the fact that it sounds like it should be. Sometimes these guys will have voice lines when you free them. He obviously didn't. One of my favourite voice lines that these guys will give is when you free them, they will say in the most dead, flat tone of voice ever, "Thanks, I could feel my humanity slipping away," as though he doesn't already sound like his humanity has slipped away. No voice line from her. Oops, hadn't managed to defeat him fully there.
You saved me. Grodd nearly had me under his control.
Yeah, being locked into a combo once you've pressed the buttons correctly to begin the combo is kind of annoying. It does take a bit of getting used to, and it can carry you past something that you wanted to interact with when you didn't want to. Oh well. Sometimes on top of one of these buildings, or I mean, the last time I saw him was a couple of years ago when I was playing. Ooh, he might be here. Yes, here we are. Jolly good. Sometimes on top of one of these buildings, this round one in fact, there's a special enemy to defeat. He's going to be kind of difficult, so I'm going to focus on him. Might just be me, but I think he's gotten easier. I'm not entirely sure what the point of him being here was, because he doesn't seem to have dropped anything in particular. But, and I also don't remember seeing similar enemies to him. I mean, occasionally around Metropolis you'll find guys like Weather Wizard, who are like level 80 or something, which is kind of ridiculous. And definitely you don't want to try and attack one of those solo unless you're like super built into endgame gear. Oh no.
Gorilla Technician report. The reactor is powerful enough to send evolution rays across the entire city.
So there is an enemy like that a little bit later on in what sort of region? This sort of region, when you're fighting against Circe, you get taken to the zone when you're fighting against Circe, who has invaded and is kidnapped Wonder Girl. I think everyone gets that mission actually, not just someone who's chosen Wonder Woman as their mentor. But anyway, so you get taken to that location and there's a Minotaur, huge ass bastard, like a couple of stories tall, who is level 30, wandering around. Thankfully he, and I don't think any of them with the kind of purple character marker, I don't think any of them will attack you unless you attack them. So you can go quite close to him and he won't like jump you, which is nice. But they're just like an extra challenge.
Hey, keep your head down. There's monkeys all over the place here. I'm trying to hack into Grodd's communication network, but I can't get through security. I bet some of the guerrilla brigadiers around here have access codes. See if you can grab a few and hack this communication array. We could use the intel.
Although now that I think about it, they're next to each of the safe houses, or in some of the safe houses, there will be wanted posters, which give you missions to defeat wandering open world bosses like that. I don't know if there's a wanted mission for him specifically, Prince Hugo, but there is one for the Minotaur, now that I remember. Definitely team content, unless you're way over level and over equipped in terms of gear for that particular boss. But you can usually find someone to do a wanted mission with you, I think. Was that enough of them? I think it was. There we go. Cool. Feat achieved in the mist. Complete all the survival of the fittest story arc missions. skill point. So you can, using skill points, unlock more weapons. I've never bothered to because I am perfectly happy using the one weapon that I have. I don't know how easy it is to switch between weapons. I think you may have to do it only in safe houses. I think it's kind of an involved process. Oh, by the way, with skill points you can reset your character to respec, but you can only do it on the Watchtower, and it undoes all of your choices. So you can't just like tick back through a list, like a recorded list of skill point choices you've made. It just removes all of them, and then you have to reapply them all up to the limit that you've earned so far. So you're not locking yourself into choices permanently, but undoing choices after you've made them is kind of a faff. Very interesting that those gorillas were wearing black pinstripe suits, and yet both of these dudes are wearing brown suits. Yeah, so with most other weapon sets, you can't stun quite as easily as I was able to stun this guy just then with that simple combo. And so the fact that you can zoom in and whack someone over the head with a shield and stun them to take them out of the fight and make it easier to continue beating them up.
Get ready. I have bad news. The Flash is out of contact. He's always beaten Grodd before. Grodd is definitely out for revenge.
What was I saying?
This is Superman. We're not gonna let Grodd win this one. If you can find the Flash inside his base, the two of you can take down Grodd.
So yes, you can, with shield weapons, you can much more easily stun enemies so that they can't continue to fight against you whilst you beat them up. Can you rank up powers, or do they just grow with you? They do grow with you. In fact, whilst I'm not locked into doing anything, you get a range of powers as you level up. So powers that look like this, or like this, or like this are control powers. Powers that look like this will, well, in this case it's a debuff, but so the icons that you get kind of give you an indication of what the power will do. So this will be a player-based AoE. That's a shield. This is another shield. That's a healing effect. That's a buff. That's a ranged blast. And that's an imbue your weapon with quantum energy. So anything with this symbol imbues all of your weapon attacks with a damage bonus. All of your powers will grow with you as you level up, but as you level up you unlock more powers, which are generally kind of better than earlier powers. So like energy expulsion is a ranged blast type power, which will just generally be better than gravity bomb, I think. You can choose to use any of these powers once you've unlocked them, put them into your loadout, and if you particularly prefer a feel of one power over another, or like you want your loadout to have a certain selection, like if you want to be a ranged character, you can change your loadout to only be ranged powers from your power set. Or if you want to be a melee power, you can choose to only have melee, like player-based AoEs. Usually because I like playing just with my weapons and spicing combat up slightly with powers, I will usually pick the powers that buff my character or have player-based AoEs or buff my weapon with a damage bonus. But I almost always have a heal power or a self buff. Yeah, that's just warning me that gear has durability. But repairing stuff is always very cheap, and in fact I've never had a piece of gear break because I haven't repaired it. I think when you're leveling, you gain new gear at a way faster rate than your gear deteriorates in durability. So you could go through all the whole game up to level 30 without repairing anything at all, and it wouldn't remotely be a problem for you. So, it's not here. On Monday there was a chest here, and I said at the time that the chest will usually appear inside instanced zones like this, but not always in the same place, so this is demonstrating that there was a chest here. It's not last time, but this time it isn't. I'll find it because this map is not particularly complex. I will find it as I play, and I'll show you what it looks like.
Security breach confirmed. Eliminate the metahuman.
These guys throwing their barrels, so gorillas throwing red barrels that explode or are on fire. Where have we seen that before? Most of the time major gear damage only happens when you get KO'd. Yeah, much like in other games, gear damage, gear degrades over time, but the biggest shocks of damage happen when you get defeated or when you get killed. And so it's definitely worth, like, if you're struggling and you've been defeated several times in a row, it's probably worth checking to make sure that your gear is still in reasonably good repair, and you might want to repair it then in that situation. And in fact if you're getting defeated over and over again, you're probably fighting enemies that are too powerful for you, or you're struggling with the game to an extent where I might be inclined to suggest maybe play a different game. Like if you were fighting enemies of this level whilst you're at the appropriate level and you were getting defeated over and over again, maybe action games aren't for you. Sorry. Those guys hit harder than I remember, actually. Ah, there we are. So, often in instance areas there will be a loot box like this. In fact, this looks like a safe. I haven't really had a close look at it. I thought it was kind of a ribbed chrome square briefcase sort of thing. Anyway, so pop that open and you get some gear and some money and some experience. In this case I got an insectoid hat. Because I don't have a piece of headgear, I'll happily wear that. And I could, now that I've unlocked it, go and put on an insectoid helmet. You can also, in this menu here, style menu, change the colour. So I could choose colours and choose a hex code for the colour that I want. But I'm fine with the colours I've got. So, oops, I don't want that hat. I want to have no helmet on. There we go. Save. Okay. Inventory. I got a piece of gear from a loot box. Well, so most loot boxes will have more than one option, but because this is the first loot box that I've earned, I'll only have the one option, which in this case is giving me a slightly better shield, or well, a slightly better weapon than the one I've gotten. So I'll have that. That's nice. And I recently found out what the social button is. That the social button is F4. Yes. So F1, F2, F3, and F4 do different things. F1 gives you general help. So this will show you what combos you've got unlocked. So this is showing me that I can sidearm throw by holding the left mouse or the right mouse key. Spinning up slash is tap hold left mouse button. Spinning downward cross is tap 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 hold.